talk about a roll of the dice. This is it. High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. I don't believe what I just saw. I don't believe what I just saw.
In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
We begin this turn-back time, of course, with some Game 1 exploits. None better than Kirk Gibson to walk off Eckersley, set the tone for the '88 World Series. A's were heavily favored. Dodgers beat him in 5 games. Mike Davis had the 2-out walk, which was a huge factor in that game. And, of course, Eckersley had him, threw many a pitch that Kirk fouled off. He kind of limped to the plate. He had an injury. And then he threw him that slider that didn't slide, and Kirk hit the ball out of the ballpark. And, of course, the Dodgers went on to have that miraculous year. Hershiser the MVP. What a moment for them. That is a Game 1 moment extraordinaire. All right, I got 4 or 5 more for you that are fun. Let's go to number 2. This is Bob Gibson. This is 1968. Now, the Cardinals lost this World Series, but Gibson in Game 1 against the Tigers was absolutely superb. He pitched against Denny McLain, who won 31 that year, and Gibson was just, listen, he threw a 5-hit complete game shutout, 5-0 win, and he struck out 18 guys, which, of course, was the Major League record. There's Willie Horton, who goes. McCarver is the catcher. That record was obviously Sandy Koufax, who did it in 1963 in Gibby. I said 18 guys, 17 guys in Game 1 of 1968 against Detroit. Gibson, of course, came back and lost Game 7 to Mickey Lolich, but he was superb in that Game 1 against the Tigers, and they were a heavy favorite in that World Series. Koufax in 63 is a Game 1 scenario there. He went up against Whitey Ford at Yankee Stadium, and he struck out 15, which broke Erskine's record all time, who was at 13, and boy, Koufax was phenomenal against the Yankees. I mean, he just mowed everybody down. Remember, the Dodgers were a huge underdog, and Koufax had not yet won. Remember that. 62, the Giants played the Yankees. 61, it was the Reds. This is the first of his MVP awards in 63. So Koufax really was still a young pitcher, and the great quote after the game is Yogi Berra. He said, you know what? I can see how he won 25 games. What I can't figure out is how he lost 5, because he was 25-5 in that year. And Koufax, of course, had beaten the Yankees, and he beat him in 5-2, beat him in Game 4, 1-0. Oh, it's 2-1 in Game 4, 2-1. And remember one thing about Koufax and Mantle. Mantle faced Erskine when he set the record originally with 13. He struck out 4 times. He struck out twice against Koufax here in 63. That is game number 3. Game number 4, of course, is the Mays catch. This is Game 1. This is at the Polo Grounds in New York. This is Vic Wirtz 2-2 in the 8th inning. Jack Brickhouse with the famous call, 2 on and 1 out. And Willie, like a wide receiver, makes a great play, and then, of course, makes the great throw back. And Larry Doby was at second base, was not able to tag, and he would have. He could have scored all the way from second. Dusty Rhodes hit that little fly ball off our good buddy there, Bob Lemon, as the Giants won that first game of that World Series and went on to sweep the Indians. Giants were good. They had won 95 games. The Indians won a 111. Willie's catch, a 2 on and 1 out in the top of the 8th inning at 2-2 really set the tone in that World Series. Most of these set the tone in the World Series. Gibson didn't quite. Tigers came from 3-1 down, and nor did our last one. This is 1948. This is the Indians against the Boston Braves in Boston, and Bob Feller pitched. There is Bob, who is, in the prime of his career. Lou Boudreau was the player manager. They had a play on in a regular year, and they used it in the World Series, but the second place umpire missed a call at second base, and the winning run was scored on this Tommy Holmes base hit, and Feller did not win the World Series game. 1-0 was the final. Now, the play was Boudreau would give Feller a sign, and without even looking, Feller would twirl and throw the ball back to second base, and the runner would be out. But he did not alert the umpires, as he had in the regular season, that he was going to do that. So the second base umpire wasn't prepared, caught him safe. Holmes, of course, got himself the base hit, and the Braves won that first game. Now, they ended up losing the World Series in 6 games, and Feller did not pitch well in Game 5, and in 54, he did not pitch for the Indians. He was sort of their 5th starter, and they lost in 4 straight games. Let me give you an interesting Game 1 story just from what Hank Barrow once told my old radio partner and myself at a Yogi Berra event. 66. The Orioles, and I use this in speeches, so they all get a kick out of it. Hopefully you will too. 66. The Orioles played the Dodgers in the World Series. Dodgers were the big favorite. Of course, they had won in 65 and in 63. The scouting report, the Orioles won the pennant easy, and the Dodgers went right down to the wire to hang out and beat the Giants and Pirates. So they had to work hard the last weekend of the year, which meant that the Orioles scouting staff got to see the Dodgers play all out and get a feel of what they were all about. Anyway, the head scout of the Orioles came back and gave Bauer a report that whatever you do not throw them fastballs. Throw them junk. Do not throw them fastballs. They're going to kill fastballs. Bauer was perplexed because his old teammate with the Yankees, Moose Skowron, who played in the 63 Dodgers, who beat the Yankees, had told him, you know, it's funny about that team. They can't hit a fastball. Most Major League teams can hit a fastball, but for whatever reason, they can't. And so when he got the report from Jim Russo, the scout, Bauer was confused, but he's got to go with what his head scout tells him. So in Game 1 in L.A., Dave McNally pitched against the Dodgers. McNally was nibbling, you know, in and out. You know, he had a lot of trouble. He just didn't really, you know, he didn't attack the hitters, and it was 3-2 bottom of the third. Bauer goes out to the mound, and he takes McNally out. He brings in Mo Jablowski, hard-throwing right-handed reliever. Bauer tells Jablowski, I don't care what you do, nothing but fastballs. Nothing but fastballs. None of this curveball, changeup, fastballs. Hank Bauer did not make another call in that World Series. He didn't hit and run. He didn't give a take sign. All he did was make up the lineups and sit there. He made that one decision. The Dodgers never scored another run. 4 straight. That is a World Series story.